Okay. I've had a lot of people come up to me and say Judgments of the Wise is so gimped right now. And I have to admit, the way they're having it now, there's not much benefit for the Reddidin. I mean, before it was like impossible for Retribution Paladins to go out of mana, but now they're going out of mana like a minute and a half into the fight. Even if 60% of the damage done is too much mana, I think that it should basically be the same mechanic as it was before, where it's a percent of the amount of damage your judgment does. I mean, before, Judgments of the Wise had synergy with Retribution, because that way, the amount of mana you get depends on how much damage you do, and damage is what Retribution is all about. But now there's no synergy. You remember back at the end of Part 9 when I was griping about how they replaced our strikes with the Seal and Judgment system and replaced that excellent Crystal Forge armor with the ridiculous pink costume? Yeah, that was funny and everything. But then I went on to say, I certainly hope that they don't find something in Wrath of the Lich King to do the same thing to. Well, guess what just happened? Also, apparently Blizzard hasn't learned its lesson about vengeance. When the Burning Crusade came out, they nerfed it from 15% to 10%. That was not the right thing to do, apparently by Blizzard's own admission, because later on they rebuffed it to 15%. Now they're talking about nerfing it again. Nerfing it was the wrong idea when the Burning Crusade came out, and nerfing it is the wrong idea now. Blizzard should try to find something else if they really need to lower our DPS. There are two other changes that are coming out that actually look pretty good, though. First off, there's Beacon of Light. Now before, I said that Beacon of Light covered some of our weaknesses, but really didn't have a lot of synergy with the tree. Well, now it's got synergy with the tree, but it doesn't cover our weaknesses. Well, not much anyway. The way it works now is you cast it on a raid member, and for the next 60 seconds, if you heal someone else in that raid who's within 40 yards of the guy you cast Beacon on, you also heal the beacon. Effectively, this more than doubles our healing per second, since Beacon has the potential to crit. But as it stands now, Paladins don't have an area of effect heal. We really need one. I do, however, have to give a heart to the changes to Blessing of Sanctuary. Before, people were complaining that it didn't help bears or death knights, and that the damage reduction really didn't do too much. Now the damage reduction is a flat percent, and the fact that it restores mana, rage, or runic power means that all 4 tanking classes can benefit from it. Here, it's crystal clear that Blizzard was listening to us. But if I was doing a Does Blizzard Really Hate Warriors review, I might have to give this a skull, because let's think about this for a second. Blessing of Sanctuary is a 21-point tanking talent. The only paladins who are likely to have that are tanks themselves. So if you have a Death Knight tank or a Warrior tank along, you're probably not going to also have a Paladin tank. Not for 5-mans. For 10-mans, yes. For 25-mans, absolutely. But not for 5-mans. Maybe 5-mans are a small enough percentage of the encounters in PvE that this won't be that big a problem. But I honestly think Blizzard should consider putting Blessing of Sanctuary as an 11-point protection talent. I already said that low-end protection needs more to make it an appealing off-spec for Holy. If they buffed Improved Devotion Aura a bit, put Blessing of Sanctuary down there, and added another good synergy talent with Holy, then protection would look like a pretty good off-spec. As it stands right now, Retribution seems to be the only good off-spec. If nothing else, Retribution has Conviction, and Holy Paladins want to get as many critical heals as they can. But before I go on talking about the final tally, I have to say something. Blizzard, please don't be lame. If you agree with me that Blessing of Sanctuary would go well as an 11-point protection talent again, then please don't put Blessing of Kings as a 21-point protection talent. Drop it down to a trainable ability. Alright, time to get to the final tally already. Now, before I say it, I have to admit that the skulls and hearts have become, well, different from what I'd hoped they would be. Originally, I hoped they would be a good indication of how certain or how much Blizzard hates Paladins, but there's some really super incriminating pieces of evidence that I gave 10 skulls to, and there's also some skulls that, well, they're really just because I hate them. And they're 10s too. I'll admit that there's a lot of subjectivity in the system here, but I guess in a lot of ways the points don't matter.
That's right, the points are like the host. On whose line is it anyway? Hey, anybody could do this.
But then again, I finally added it all up, so I might as well show you what the numbers are. There were a total of 343 hearts and 395 skulls. Final score, 52 skulls. So yeah, it's really not looking that good for Blizzard. While it's true that Blizzard has shown a lot of evidence of listening to us lately, the very fact that there's someone who wants to do a review like this one shows that Paladins have gotten a lot of grief over the years, and I mean a lot. Repeatedly, Blizzard has failed to fix the things that are wrong with the Paladin class. Given the history that I've already gone over throughout this review, I'd say that Paladins have a right to be negative. They want us to remain positive, well then give us some reason to do so. Negligence can account for a great deal of the pain that Paladins have had over the years, but some of it was specifically singled out hatred. For example, the voodoo doll from Zul'Gurub, the pink color scheme, and worst of all, our treatment in patch 1.9. The developers refused to listen to the Paladin community, and they gave us an absolutely abusive community manager. Cadium totally should have been sacked after that, but I'm getting off the point. The point is, Blizzard has displayed enough evidence to say that there's been real hatred against the Paladin class. For a while, I thought it might be because someone at Blizzard hates Christians and is taking their frustration against Christians out on the Paladin class. But, well, I'm a Christian myself, I know what to look for, but I'm not finding it. There is so little evidence, and what little evidence does exist is easy to refute. So I think it's safe to say that no one at Blizzard particularly hates Christians, and if they do, they aren't showing it. That theory really cannot account for why Blizzard hates Paladins. But there is a theory that does. A lot of people have already mentioned it to me in my official World of Warcraft forum thread. Jeff Kaplan, aka Tagol, and Alex Afrasiabi, aka Führer. These two guys are developers for Blizzard, and they have a long history in MMOs. And unfortunately, it's not a good history. Before they worked at Blizzard, they were hardcore EverQuest players. Führer was hardcore into the warrior class, and Tagol was hardcore into the rogue class. Both of them hated hybrid classes because they felt that hybrid classes were a threat to the roles of the pure classes like rogues and warriors. Back in the EverQuest days, whenever any hybrid came close to being able to do what a pure class was able to do, they would raise hell for the EverQuest developers. To give you some idea how nasty they are, take a look at this post. This is by Führer. I'm an equal opportunity attacker. I attack all classes that grossly overstep their bounds and trample the warrior class. How could Blizzard hire a person like this? What were they smoking? Sorry I asked. Even as players, they knew exactly how to manipulate the system to get what they wanted. The fact that they were good at manipulating the system back then is a refutation of an argument that somebody might come up with now. That argument is, Führer designs Quest, Tagol designs outdoor content and instances and stuff. Calgon is the one in charge of class balance. But not even being an employee of Sony Online really didn't stop these two from manipulating the system. Once they're in Blizzard, they're just going to have more information and it'll make it easier for them to manipulate the system. That aside, pretty much all the hybrid classes were crammed into a healbot role, at least for the early parts of World of Warcraft. Warriors were the only class that was able to tank. Druids and Paladins on paper were supposed to be able to, but they couldn't. All the pain that Druids, Paladins, and Shaman have gotten over the years points straight at these two. All of that being said, I really can't find any evidence after the Burning Crusade came out that says that they're still up to those tricks. Right now, Paladins are capable of tanking almost any encounter. There are exceptions, of course. But that kind of tanking capability is the sort of thing Führer would have crashed servers over back in the EverQuest days. And it's happening now. It's not impossible that the Season 1 nerfs after the Burning Crusade came out were they're doing, but there's really no evidence that directly implicates them. It could well be that their days of griefing Paladins, not to mention the other hybrid classes, is at an end. I mean, when you think about the fact that the Death Knight is the new class, that's the sort of thing they would have wanted to avoid. But it happened anyway. Given the sincerity that Blizzard has displayed lately, it could be that all our problems are over. The things that Blizzard should have done over the years that they didn't do. Be very open, listen to the Paladin community, and give us a good amount of communication, are finally starting to happen. We still need more communication, but optimism might finally be warranted this time. Only time will tell whether Blizzard is actually going to fix the Paladin class this time, or whether the people who are saying, "I'm going to Warhammer," are right.